What I have found is it's actually really not that hard to break the cycle.
Okay.
It's hard to decide.
Right.
To really make the decision. If you decide and you are fully committed, you'll break it, and you'll break it faster than you thought.
Adam Jablin, author of Lotsaholic, from a sick to sober Superman. Thanks for joining me on Knockin Doorz Down.
Oh, bro, I was really happy when I got the invitation. So thanks for having me.
That's funny. That makes two of us happy. You're like, right, yes, let's fucking do this. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. Maybe we knew. Maybe we knew we were both Sun Devils at the same time. Maybe we just both knew we were maniacs. But, there's a vibe, man. There's a vibe.
Yeah, we were talking before the recording. We both went to the same college there at the same time. One of the things that I really want to talk to you, like I was saying, I'm trying to reach out and get more people that can become indirect mentors here on the podcast. I'm finding it more useful. But I do want to know, really, so many people we found trauma the gateway drug for so many.
Yeah.
For you, do you pinpoint it to trauma, insecurities? What for you is it that you face daily? Because I think so many people have misconception. You get sober and everything's good. No, we still got to confront this stuff over and over.
I would have to say that somewhere when I was 7 years old, maybe 8, somewhere in there, I decided to be the family peacemaker, the pleaser. Give it to Adam, give it to Superman, he'll fix everything. And it was the decision, and that decision made by a 7-year-old, somewhere in my subconscious, somewhere deep down. Well, that little boy was running a 20-year-old's life, a 25-year-old's life, a 30. So, for me, I wouldn't actually say it was past trauma. I would say for me personally, it was a past decision I made. I saw how I can make my family more harmonious. I saw the power in pretending to be some sort of superhero to make everybody okay. And I saw in that moment, oh, this works. And I chose it, and I made it my constitution. And then as I got clean and sober, I had to reevaluate all of those poor decisions I made as a child. Because like I said, a 7-year-old was literally running my life.
Yeah, I know what that's like. So then my question for you, because for those that are close to us, either it's genuine or disingenuous, because I'm a people pleaser, so I played the role, whatever hat that people seem to want me to assume. How then was it establishing boundaries and then those people understanding that, oh, Adam's changed?
It was complicated because I had a difficult time because I always still wanted to be the peacemaker. So it's interesting. I like using things that are easily understandable. So people pleasing it's a good way for people to understand what you and I are talking about. I don't necessarily know. I can't speak for yourself, for you. I don't necessarily know if that's what I truly was, or if you truly were. I'll give you an example. If I like the Yankees and you like the Mets, I didn't start liking the Mets.
Right.
If you like Batman and I like Superman, I didn't just start liking Batman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I did do, so it wasn't necessarily just people pleasing and always putting on a new identity like that for me personally. What I did do was I thought I had to accommodate for everybody.
Gotcha.
Right? I thought I had to make everything okay I still have my own likes and dislikes. Do you know what I mean? I still have my own personality. But yeah, man, when I did it, I think in the beginning I made if you want to use the word boundaries, a little too hard. I realized that no was a complete sentence, but I kind of said it with like, hey, I'm clean and sober now. But over time, everyone became adjusted. But when you come into this thing and you're getting clean and sober and you're getting your life together, you're raw. You're raw, and my emotions were still really, really, bro, on high alert for a while there.
And how did you handle it? Because when you first entered, what was it? You were intervened on?
Yeah, I was intervened July 14th, 2006.
Okay.
and, brought to the Hanley Center, which is one of the top treatment centers in the country. And that's really where my whole life turned around.
Well, because you were a father and married at the time, right?
Yeah, I was married and for 5 years, and I had a daughter that was 6 months old. So literally my daughter and I have grown up together. She's 16, I'm 16 years clean and sober, and I'm as mature as she is.
Right?
You know what I mean?
I've tried to explain that to people. It's like I've been stunting my growth emotionally for a decade and a half. Okay, I'm catching up.
Give us some time.
So what then after that did you started really noticing changing for you though? Because what was your business line? What was going on? Because you were a guy that no matter, even in your addiction, you had a motor.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. So what I did was when the switch happened, when I had a really profound spiritual experience and the shift happened that I wanted to be clean and sober, I attacked my recovery as if my life depended upon it. Like I just fucking attacked it. You know what I mean? And whatever that looks like for whatever people, but for me, it was 12-step rooms. And, I still, I don't like to talk about where I go. It's kind of like Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah.
But we have traditions and all that. But literally, man, a meeting or two every day, picking up somebody from a treatment center, bringing them with me. Found a sponsor that a mentor that we just attacked the steps. He's got 53 years clean and sober, a legend in rock and roll. And dude, I just was all about it. And what happened was I was slowly changing from the inside out. So everything that was changing within me, healthy, good, pure, was affecting all of my relationships, not just my marriage, not just being a dad, not just being a businessman, but in every department. Right. And, it's really interesting when you're so used to drowning yourself in booze and pharmaceutical pills and whatever you're into, and you allow your body to recharge and get that real energy, and then you tap into something higher. Dude, I had too much time on my hands. So I was like running the business, exercising, going to meetings, you know what I mean? Like literally just burning the candles at both ends just because I didn't know what to do with so much energy. And
that's still an area, I'm glad you brought that up, that I kind of struggle with it and noticing something that I see that you do. I picked up also from Mike Diamond, who was on the podcast.
He's a master, dude. He's a master.
Yeah, love that guy. But the starting to write some stuff out, journaling a little bit more, getting out of my head, because I came to think, what do I waste time on? Way too much television, Adam. Way too much.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's great to be self-aware, I think, and to really study yourself. But at the same time, somebody like you that's doing something like this is very creative. You could change the terminology on that and consider it homework. Sure. If you watch certain actors, if you pick up on their demeanors, if there are certain words that hit you and you go, I think when I'm interviewing somebody, I want to use that, or I want to use that tone, or, so maybe for you, it's just literally looking at it from a different lens and going, okay, yeah, I'm enjoying this series. Let's pretend it's a series, like a Netflix series. But what I'm really doing is I'm studying. And I'm downloading what I like, what I don't like, to use through my personality to get my message across.
That's interesting you bring that up, because actually I'm watching it for the second time, the series Brockmire. Have you ever seen it with Hank Azaria?
I know what it is, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, the irony is my girlfriend and I are watching it. We pause it. It's a guy that falls into alcoholism due to a very rough childhood. He's a baseball announcer. And when you pause it, then comes up an ad for some liquor where you can scan the QR code. I'm like, Hulu, did you fucking get a clue what this show's about? Right. But it beautifully deals with addiction within it and the things that we do. And then as we start to evolve and change. So that's interesting you bring that up. I really didn't think of it that way, because I'm sitting there watching like, oh, I remember this phase. I know that's like, or, I didn't try that.
I mean, hey, listen, I remember when, I'm very close to a mentor of mine named Tim Story. He's huge. You should look him up. And one of his homework assignments to me was he wanted me, and I had to watch it 3 times. He wanted me to watch the interview with Jay-Z. I forgot with who it was, with somebody with the New York Times, 3 times after he came out and admitted he had wronged Beyonce and this new album 444. And he wanted me to pick up on certain messages that Jay-Z was speaking about, because he wanted me to embody how to speak so honestly and openly.
Right.
So I think if you could just change your lens and you can say to yourself, hey, I'm not wasting time. Well, the thing is, I'm mastering my craft. I'm mastering my craft. And again, I don't know how much TV you watch, but I'm just saying that sometimes what we think is, many times for guys like you and I, what we think is a flaw in our character is actually an asset. We just are looking at it from a different lens.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's really valuable. You said something else there too, in bringing up spirituality. Because I've had a couple of people reach out and just ask them, like, what's your place, for lack of a better word, with God? How do you see it? Because tell me your opinion on, we've got a fragile nature, and then we got some things that are just, they lack fragility altogether. And I think when you key in on your spiritual component and what it means to you, a higher power, it really prevents us from the fragile areas taking over and throwing us off track.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how deep do you want me to go? I don't want to rant.
I love rants. I'm in. This is something I really want to pick up from you.
All right. So the center of my life, the central relationship of my life is my relationship with God and what that looks like. And due to that relationship, I'm a man fully alive. Fully alive, meaning I could have all of the colors of the rainbows, all of the emotions, go through the ups and downs, and be taken care of. Which also means that over my time, I have studied and read and practiced, not both testaments, the Old Testament, the New Testament. I have no prejudice against any other religions, and I see all the similarities and in each one, the degree of the power of God, like the sincere, true power of God, right? And the humility. I don't care what religion, how you get, so the humility to ask for that power, and then see the decision to take that power and carry it through is a recipe for success. So, there's a preparation to have that power flow through you. There's a story in the Bible where, everybody in the this is Old Testament, before Jesus comes and fulfills the testaments, and he'll show you how to do it too. So I can go on and on and on, but where, there was a drought and Israel was in the middle of a drought, and they go to Moses, we're dying of thirst, the crops are dying, the plants are dying. He's like, what are you doing to prepare for that? He's like, you haven't dug any hole. And once they dug the holes in the Bible, that's when the rains came. As in, if you show the faith, if you show the faith to God and you prepare like it's going to happen, and you ask with humility and you have the faith to carry that out, it will happen.
Yeah.
Maybe not on your timetable, but it will happen.
That's
So
it.
let's use the podcast as an example.
Sure.
So you're already having the faith and doing the actions to take this to make you a very successful man and to spread your mission and your message. But if within a year and a half or 2 years, you don't really see how far you've progressed, and you're measuring yourself against Joe Rogan and people like that, and so you keep being inferior, well, you're not really preparing.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're beating but if you're like, no, if I just keep doing this one step at a time, one day at a time, it will come. Because if you don't stop, it's bound to happen. And
you've nailed it. We'll talk more off air about the process that it's been. It's been an exciting journey. But I thank you for sharing that, because I find it, for me, so important. It's hard to break cycles. And I know in your coaching, that's some things that you really work on, because we seem to be at a forefront of apathy and just people looking external of themselves for any kind of fulfillment and happiness.
So don't be upset with me. Okay. Because I'm not, I hope I'm in your corner. I'm not adversarial at all.
Sure. Nope.
So, and you could agree with me and take it and run with it, or you could say, can't really sign up for that.
Okay.
But what I have found is it's actually really not that hard to break the cycle.
Okay.
It's hard to decide.
Right.
To really make the decision. If you decide and you are fully committed, you'll break it, and you'll break it faster than you thought. If you're wrestling and you're split a little bit, even just the tiniest fraction, it's torture.
Yep.
So yeah, then it is difficult to break the cycle. But I'm not speaking out of both sides of my mouth, because what I'm saying is if you 110% decide and you're all in, all your chips on the table, not one for insurance, this is it. It's easier than you think.
And why do you think it's easier than people think it is? Or I think it is, for that matter.
Sure. Well, one is that's what I do for my living. Right. Two is what I've noticed and what I've studied and seen the most is it's not change that's hard. It's the resistance to change.
Right.
That's hard. And also, if anything, when we start doing those past stories and those past feelings, and if you want to say past traumas or whatever, to validate why you're not going to change or why you feel so uncomfortable, well, now you're not really 110% in. You're coddling yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So look at it from all different angles, right? We could look at, obviously you and I have been through some dark times, right? So it's always easy to look at it at that lens and go, oh, it's hard. But I got to tell you, man, if I said to you, listen, LeBron's look, they're taking you. They're taking somebody off the streets for 1 year, like the Rocky Balboa story.
Right.
And you're going to be a Laker this year. Your one job is to not fucking quit. You'll be all in.
Yeah.
If I put you on the Jordan with the Bulls, you'll be all in. If I say to you, listen, I'm taking you to Positano, Italy with me for 2 weeks, you think you're going to resist getting oh, I'm too tired, Adam. I need a nap. No, we're staying up and we're getting on Italy's timetable because it's positive, because you're all in. You're channeled in. Now, when it's something that's a little, you're not all in and it's, I still like this. And that's where the resistance is.
Sure.
Right? So that just shows you the shift of a mindset.
Right.
Like, let me tell you, becoming a Laker and practicing in the ice bath, it ain't going to be easy. But if you're all in, it will be easy because you're going to love it.
Right.
You're going to fucking love it.
I think it goes back. Someone said to me recently is people do more not to lose $5 than earn $5. It's that idea of Mike threw this out to me. Diamond, they used the idea of I will pay you $1 million for a month, but you got to get up at 3 a.m. every day and won't go back to sleep. And he said, I guarantee you 99% of the people will hit snooze the next fucking morning because it's uncomfortable. Right. Uncomfortable. So how do you shift people to get out of the comfort zone? Well, what I do is I look at their basic needs. I value, this isn't the first time I don't go 1, 2, 3 with my client. I have to really figure out who they are, the causes and conditions, what their values are, what their purpose are, and then go to their needs, right? What are their needs and what are their values? And once I have that, I have the leverage. Once I have that, I have the leverage. So when you could change the mindset and go, okay, you are wired like me. You like certainty. You don't like variety. You like that we're going to wake up at that. You thrive on structure. But what if I promised you that there's something beautiful if you just let go and we do a little variety? We do something that's not totally planned. Right. We do something more fun. Now there are people that thrive in variety. They don't like certainty. But some of them, they're a little too woo, and, you know what I mean? Like, right? And they'll go here, they go there. And one day they're a podcaster. The next day, they're a basketball coach. And the next day they're an Instagram success. And then, right? And you're like, yo, you're too unique, right? So you got to work with what you got. Right. Some people love to be significant, to feel that attention.
right? And they're thriving on me. Well, that person, you got to push a little bit towards contribution and love. You know, that's going to heal them a little bit. But some people that are all about community and contribution and love, they need a little more significance, and you got to give them their balls. So it's really about understanding your client, knowing where they're at, knowing where their vision is, making sure you're getting them to their vision, not your vision. And while you're truly always keeping their strengths at a high level, making their weaknesses as strong and balancing them out.
I'm going to ask you for some advice if I can.
Sure.
So for me, doing this, and I also work for a nonprofit. We have a podcast there, a lot of outreach, really working with, the family unit. So for me, I'm at a point where, and I sit and talk with my girlfriend about this, like I've started to gain confidence in what I do, but yet I have some trouble with accepting a little bit of limelight. I'm probably that community guy. I like the community. I like the part of the mission, but I've had a couple of people that I made friends through this, like, dude, you're good. Start getting yourself out there, and it's okay because your intent is of servitude. But for me, it still feels like ego. How do you deal with that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a figurehead of something.
Sure. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. But you're somebody, believe it or not, that would do well journaling and affirming that you're a badass and you're good at your craft. Because I'm not saying it's a weakness, but you find it overly egotistic, right? And it's not. I'm telling you, don't want to go on the court with Kobe and Jordan if they don't think they're going to win.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Thank God you're blessed with a personality that's not arrogant and thinking you're all that. But you have to believe in yourself to be able to do something. Mm-hmm. There has to be a calling. So to tell yourself that I'm good at this, to tell yourself I'm a badass at this, to tell yourself that I could lead people in this, is extremely healthy because it's for a good cause. Mm-hmm. And you, like myself, have the humility and the pain from the past to balance you out. But there are other people that they're too arrogant and they're too cocky, and you're like, why are you this confident? You don't even have the record to feel this way, and you start realizing that it's almost narcissistic. But it's what it really is a mask. Because inside they feel like they can't do it. They're pretending to be Michael Jordan because they saw him do that, but they know they haven't put in the work and they don't have the skill set. You're putting in the work. You're doing this stuff for the families. You're doing the podcast for the nonprofit. So if you can give yourself the credit, it will come out. It'll come out. But dude, also don't look at yourself with a microscope either. Like, all of us have these feelings from time to time.
Sure.
All of us have a little imposter syndrome, if you want to call it that. All of us have some anxiety. All of us, the best of the best, the best of the best.
I think it's because I spent so much time in that, throughout, God, when my addiction really started, which is an interesting thing in itself. I'm a later in life guy. But yeah, it's definitely that imposter syndrome, that struggle with that at times I definitely feel. I know other people do too, but thank you. I've been trying to kick it to the next thing. Like, you've got some valid shit, man. Get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for a good call. I'll give you a great example. So my mentor, his name is Dion, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. You probably know most of his music. Legend. Yeah. Only a few legends alive, right? Between him, Paul McCartney, Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Clapton. He's one of them, right? Yeah. So his life is being brought to Broadway, called The Wanderer. And I'm hanging out with Dion and backstage with the kid that's being Dion in the show. His name is Mike Wartella. The kid's amazing. This kid's on fire, right? But before every show, he would throw up and feel like an imposter. But when he went out there, he killed. The thing's going to Broadway. And it goes to show you that, and he said, I had the thoughts of, what am I doing here? Or they're going to see right through me. They're going to know that I'm not the guy, right? This is every show. Meanwhile, the write-ups after every show when he went and performed were insane. And still those thoughts would come out, right?
Sure.
Even after the write-up. So why I'm sharing that story is it's not like this perfect science. There's a scene in The Last Dance. It's very overlooked. That's the Michael Jordan documentary.
Yep, love it.
It's him. Yeah, right. It's him before Game 7 against Indiana Pacers, and it's him with his crew, right before the game, and he's sitting there very, very quiet in contemplation, and you see him like it's not Michael yet, like there's anxiety, like this could be the end. And his friend Ahmad Rashad goes, some people can, some people can't, and he's like, huh? He's like, wait, what? You know what I mean? And he goes, some people can and some people can't. And Michael looks at him because that's his best friend. And he said, I forgot which player it was, but he's like, I instruct you not to speak to so-and-so. You are not allowed to speak to so-and-so. And what he was saying is a lot of guys, even on the Bulls playing with Michael, can't take that shit.
Yeah.
Because he's sitting there contemplating, like you get to see that he's human. He's contemplating, I can lose. I can lose today. Yeah. This could be it. You would think the way we all think about him, that he's sitting there being like, give me the fucking ball. I got this. I'm Michael Jordan. I've done it 5 times. No, he's sitting there with the anxiety, with the worry, with his council of men. You're just sitting there, like just tapping his fingers, nervous, anxious, worried. Yeah. You know what I mean? Tells his friend to shut up. You know what I mean? Don't tell the other players that. They don't have my mind strength. They can't handle that. So it's good, man. It's good to study. It's good to learn. It's good to believe in yourself. This is all good, what we're talking about.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. And I love that documentary series. I think I've watched it 4 times through. The one that stood out to me that was comical in why Michael Jordan, he would get in the argument, ex-basketball player people. I'm like, today's NBA, you'd average 40, 45 easy, with the rules they are now. But, and just his mindset, he's, I forget what game they're going to. He's on the bus. The R&B star Kenny Lattimore gave him his album early. He's just sitting there, got the album early. Kenny Lattimore, friend of mine. And it's like,
that's before Game 6 in Utah.
Yeah, it's like you've got this huge game, and he's just there,
loose.
Yeah, in the moment, he had that ability. Everybody said in the moment. How do you stay in the moment?
Oh, bro, I'm very much like you and Mike Diamond. I'm cut from that cloth.
Okay,
I have to do a lot of work to stay in the moment. I have to do a lot of work on myself because my brain is programmed. My emotional home, if you want to say, is worry and anxiety. Something within my home thinks, if I think about things too much and I worry, that'll make a difference. And it's not. Yeah. Right? So what I do, I wake up early, I meditate, I pray, I journal, I hit an early workout, I hit an early recovery meeting. I'll probably even do a 5K after that, right? And then it's not even 9 o'clock. And I've just banged out a big part just to be Adam Jablin. And now I'm ready to rock.
Wow.
Right? Because I'm really centered and I'm really feeling good. But, that's a lot to ask of anybody.
Sure.
And I wouldn't do that. And my clients, I don't make them come even close to that. But to be the man that I enjoy being and to be the man that other people want to learn from or use as their coach or as their mentor, I have to be right. And unfortunately, I found a way. Unfortunately, It is a lot of structure and discipline early in the morning, but that also allows me to have more variety later in the day. Sure. And not get over anxious that I didn't think about this, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do that, and I still need to do this for myself. You know what I mean? All that stuff. So it's cool. I found a balance of certainty and variety.
So creating almost things, the elements we can control for an acceptance and ability to navigate the uncontrollable.
Yeah, dude, it's honestly the serenity prayer all packed in one. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Can't change that I'm an alcoholic. I can't change it. There's 24 hours in a day. I can't change that I'm 46. I can't change that clients can do this time and this time and this time. I can't change that. I'm a daddy of two. So, okay, God, grant me somebody to accept things that I cannot change. You know what I mean? The courage, the balls to change the things I can. Okay, I could wake up earlier. I could do that. I could be more organized. I could be a little looser here. I can listen more. I could speak more here. The courage. And then the wisdom to know the difference, meaning I sometimes don't know fantasy from reality. I don't know the difference between the two. So I have to ask for the wisdom to go, this I cannot change, this I can change. Right? It's like you'll hear a lot of times where I go, probably what you've heard too, is, God will not do for you what you can't do for yourself. And I really believe that because I'm a living testimony of it.
Agreed.
Yet there's a flip side of that coin, which is God won't do for you what you can do for yourself. And there is the beam.
Yeah.
That's the beam we're all walking on. How do you let it flow? How do you allow God into your life? How do you allow the universe and these higher realities and these powers to work through you while at the same time being responsible, controlling yourself, knowing how to utilize that power, knowing when to turn it off, knowing when to take action, knowing when not to be lazy. So somebody like me, and probably like you, very similar to Mike Diamond, is I'm cut from the cloth that I take too much on my shoulders. So I overestimate my power and I underestimate God's power all the time.
Yep. Frequently.
Yet I know people that overestimate what God's going to do for them and underestimate it's like, dude, you're going to have to lift the shovel.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do some work. No, I'm going to be the #1 best-selling author. Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah, not if you don't get out there and interview on every damn show and put the damn
write the book.
Hell yeah, you got to start somewhere. My book's gonna sell 1 million. What? Oh, really? What's it called? I don't know. I haven't written it.
But okay. All right.
Well, it goes back to the adage of oh God, where was I? I'm trying to remember, Adam, but came up, the joke about the lottery being your retirement. And I said, this one guy went, motherfucker, you're so bad with money that if you won 100 million, you'd be broke in a year anyway. So what does it matter? You're not living a life to prepare yourself to take on $100 million. You don't even know what the first step is. Okay, wise ass, what's the first step? Well, I'd probably get a tax attorney to start with. And then from there, take a look at it. Do I have any debt? Do I have any assets? Also, what family members or hanger-ons are going to immediately come after it? And how do I deal with that? So I don't know that 100 million is your best plan. You might want to get out there, like you said, get the shovel out, get a little work going. It's like, shit, howdy. I still have some different areas of blockage. I get a lot of that telling myself a story, struggle with anxiety, especially in the morning. And I've been diagnosed with depression since I was 16. What are some of those blockages that you see, and how do we kind of start pulling those away?
All right. So let's use I statements, because depression is real. And anybody listening to this, if you have depression, please see a medical doctor. Please be honest. I'm not telling you to get it on an SSRI. I'm not telling you what to do, but just treat it with the dignity and the respect that it deserves, because depression is real and the suicide rate lately is out of fucking control.
Yeah.
So let's use I statements. I'm building this business, I've had a lot of success. But sometimes when you're building a business, not running a business, when you're building a business, there are times where cash flow gets a little weird and you're putting out more than it's coming in. Now, it's not a lack of faith and it's not from spending sloppy, but you can't control other people's terms. They thought they were going to pay you in 30 days. Now it's 90 days, but you've already paid this to do your fund. Okay, so I'm using I statements, right? And you see the cash go low and because you're building, right? You're building. And it's not from a lack of faith and it's not from a lack of responsibility, but at the same time, you're in this place. And I told you my emotional home is worry, right? So what do I do? In my meditation, I see the Adam that's already done it, that's already accomplished this mission and knows what the hero project is really going to do to help other people, to help his own family, to leave a legacy. So I get into that Adam, and I think with his brain, and I feel with his belly, and I hear with his ears. You know what I mean? I use his basic 5 senses, and I know what he knows, and that it's all taken care of. I have to do my work, as you can see. You know, that part's not going to be a problem. Laziness is not one of my personal issues. If anything, I need to know when to let go. But I get into him. And when I'm in him and I see him and I can feel him, now I'm that much closer to my goal. So I'm meditating and I'm visualizing and I'm feeling. And I'm getting really, really aligned with that vision of myself. And by the time I exit my meditation with a prayer, I know how I'm going to act, how I'm going to speak, how I'm going to behave that day, because that's what that Adam already did. That's what the Adam a little farther down the road knows, feels, experiences, thinks. You know what I mean? So that's the way I do it. Because this Adam can get very stuck and worried. That Adam, it's already done. Worrying, it doesn't matter how much I've shown myself that worrying has done nothing but destroy me and get me drunk. That doesn't matter, or high. Doesn't matter. That's where I feel comfortable. My emotional home inside is, let me worry. If I worry, then it shows that I care. God doesn't do that. Accountants don't do that. Judges don't. They don't care that you're worried. Yeah. So I have to go into the Adam that's more calm, more centered, that's done it, get into his mindset, and be that Adam.
When did the Hero Project come to you?
It's a great question. I mean, if you want to know the truth,
yes,
I think it was always inside of me. But it had to be pushed and forced out from a lot of transition. I was running my family business for 23 years. And for 13 years of that, I was clean and sober. And I knew I had a mission and a calling. But I think that running the family business gave me a lot of, I was running an empire.
Right.
And it gave me a lot of business sense. It allowed me to lead men. We had at one point 145 employees, 3 shifts, 8-hour shifts, workman's comp, insurance, goods coming, yarns coming in, goods going out, design department, secretary, you name it. And I was running an operation. And what I didn't really realize is that this was my playground to really hone my craft. And all these blessings and gifts were coming out with my recovery and my sobriety. I started helping, people all around town, with alcohol, drug. And then I started helping celebrities and, professional athletes and, movie stars. And they liked it because I wasn't in their field. I was the guy that was making fashion. They were like, oh, it's so cool. You know what I mean? Right. And it was great. And I just knew that I had a higher purpose. And when it was time that we sold the family business, and I asked my mentor, what am I going to do now? And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, he knew. He was like, you're going to be Adam. You're going to influence thought. You're going to influence thought. You're going to raise people to a higher level. And he had me do my homework. And one of my homework assignments was I literally, I took a notebook. If you ever see where I do it, I have notebooks everywhere, right? Yeah. But I took a notebook like this. And I knew it couldn't just be Adam Jablin. I had to have something that I was working on. And I love Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, and I love superheroes. And I literally wrote a line in 2. And I'm like, what am I about? And I'm like, I'm about recovery. I'm about Superman, and I'm about fitness, and I'm about superheroes, and I'm about this, and I was like, I'm about. Right, all these things, and all of a sudden, so I had superhero, fit, and over here I put like program, transformation, this, that, boom, project, and I'm playing with, and I saw it. I saw it, It wasn't the Superman transformation. It's actually not even super at all. So it wasn't superhero program. I didn't like the word program because a program's like P90X or 12 step or whatever, which means it's the same for everybody.
Right.
If you and I go to some place that's a program and it's chest and back, it's chest and back that day. That's how it is. That's the program. Do you know what I mean? You can't go someplace. A program is it's a program. It's set. But a project's like when you're designing your own house. When you get an architect and an interior designer, where you give a kid a bunch of paper and paste and toothpicks and it's a project. You're putting it together. And I saw it, and I was like, it's the hero project. It's what I mean. It's somebody finding their inner hero, going through that hero's journey. And the fact is that every client I've ever worked with, like everybody I've ever worked in recovery, or everyone I ever worked with in the family business, everybody was an individual, and everybody had their own way of learning. I knew that right off the bat, and it was like, it just came to me. And the symbol of my company is the Superman shield with a circle in the middle. And the circle is like, so for us in recovery, we hold hands because as a circle, we're stronger together than we are alone. So it's the Superman symbol with a circle in the middle. And that's the hero project. That's what it's about.
I love it.
And also it just kept going deeper. Like you start realizing all this was inside of you, because the hero's journey, it's not a roadmap, right? So it's not, the hero's journey is a circle. It's not a roadmap. So the hero's journey, it's leaving the known, a call to action. Luke Skywalker leaving his original planet, whatever you want, you know what I mean? Neo or Mr. Anderson, leave, you know what I mean? And then finding your mentor, finding your Obi-Wan Kenobi, finding your Morpheus, you know what I mean? Finding your Jor-El to your Superman, figuring out who you are, finding your whoever it was to Bruce Wayne, and finding it to Robert Downey as Iron Man. You find that person that's going to lead you out of it, and then it's then you go on that journey of discovery where you refine your powers, and you start learning the Force, and you start realizing you're the one, and they're downloading you with how to fight kung fu, but then there's slaying the dragons, and there's fighting the bad guys, and there's facing the demons, be it addiction, whatever. You finally have to, face Mr. Smith. You have to realize that Darth Vader is your dad. You have to understand who Lex Luthor is. You have to know that there's a Joker, and then you defeat that enemy, and then there's a circle. The hero always returns home.
Yeah.
The hero always returns home. So what I do with my clients, it's not, we're going to go on this pilgrimage. You're going to fucking change. I hope you get to keep your wife and kids. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be such a different man. Right. You'll be happy, but I can't tell you everyone else will. No. There's a return home. You're coming back bigger, faster, stronger, healthier, more confident, but more in love with everybody that you've ever loved. More joy than you've ever felt. Yeah. So that's my passion. I am not the guy that you call to say, hey, let's get you divorced. I want you to go live your dreams. Fuck everybody else. That's not me.
Yep.
That's not me.
If we were to do a sports analogy, how do you see yourself?
Phil Jackson.
That's the vibe I got. It gave me chills.
Yeah. Phil, so, the beauty of Phil was, you get enough credit, but everyone's still going to say it was Michael, it was Kobe, it was Shaq, it was Scotty, and no one cares. He doesn't care because he's got the 11 rings.
Right.
The beauty about Phil is that the triangle was a circle, believe it or not. It was because of the way it flowed. The triangle is 3 players within a 5-player system. So It is the triangle, but really what it was a developing circle that kept shifting.
Yep.
Right. But what Phil was brilliant at was he was a master of the game and a master of Zen Buddhism and a master of the moment. So he knew when to call a timeout. But what was very tricky and savvy about him was he knew when not to call a timeout.
Yeah.
He knew when to say, hey, let him play this out. Okay, they're down by 12. I'm still not calling it timeout. Okay, we're down by 16. Do you know what I mean? Okay. You know what I mean? He knew. So, he knew when Michael and Kobe should take over, but he knew when to keep it within the system. And when you do that and you really let the people that you're working with stay in the moment, be in the moment, and live up to their potential, then they get the credit. They get to be the hero of the day. They all get to celebrate together. The wolf pack is stronger as a unit than the lone wolf alone. And at the same time, as the coach, you get the ring. I don't need the credit anymore. I got the credit. I want the rings. I want the championships. I want the bonding. I want the closeness. So I'm not Belichick. I love Pat Riley, but I'm not Pat Riley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Jimmy Johnson from the Cowboys, who's a little bit more of like a tyrant in your face. I'm not that guy. I'm Phil. Mm-hmm. And I'll know when to call a timeout, but I know when to let you play it out. And you're doing better than you think. I know we're down by 16, but just work the system. Just work the system. And I know when to give it to you and say, do your thing, tongue out, baseline, fade away. I don't care. Yeah. I know when to tell you to take it over, but I know when to tell you, who's open. Paxson. Pass him the fucking ball. I don't care that your number's 23. You know what I mean? Pass him the ball. And so you win the right way.
Yeah. If people want to know more about the Hero Project and yourself, how can they find you, Adam?
Yeah, I try to make it as simple as possible. It's Adam Jablin on all platforms. So Facebook, Adam Jablin, Instagram, Adam Jablin, TikTok, Adam Jablin, LinkedIn, Adam Jablin. And I think, since I'm 46, I think that's all I'm really on. I'm sure there's probably 17 other apps that are good to use. You know what I mean? I'm learning.
Hey, same, man.
I'm learning.
I turned 44 in less than 2 weeks as of this recording, so I'm with you. And we'll include the links in the podcast description.
Yeah, man. I'll make sure that I get it out there, not just for us to spread the Hero Project, but to spread Knockin Doorz Down and hopefully introducing you to some cool people to be a guest. And
please.
I appreciate you saying, this is how you get your mentors and get close. So I'll be in your corner all the way. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. So we're not done yet, Adam. We're now jumping to some random questions. Are you ready? All right, Adam. Being that it is a superhero project, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
That's good.
I had to ask you this one.
Yeah, it's really good. You know what? I think it's super strength.
Why?
I understand like flying would be really cool, but to fly without the strength, it's a good way of like abandoning your people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do flying if I don't have the strength? Yeah. Right? At least if I have the strength, if you're not going to give me flying with it, I can at least I can leap tall buildings in a single bound. I may not be able to fly it. So I'm going to go with super strength.
I love it. I dig it. Any pet peeves? Anything that just irks the shit out of you?
Yeah, dude. I mean, where do I begin? I would have to say when someone's not realizing that they're rambling and they're not really giving you the attention that you have a life to live and that their story is going nowhere. That irks me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give you all the attention you need. But this has been 15 minutes. There's not even a point to this story. Do you know what I mean? Like, really? Really? Do you know what I mean? Like, for real? This is, you know what I mean? Like, I love you, but you just wasted 15 fucking minutes of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind if it's a 15-minute story, but there's a point. I'm all in.
Right?
I'm all in.
Give me a soliloquy, an anecdote, something.
I'm all in, dude. I'm all in. I'm not an asshole, but like, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, what was that? That's a pet peeve of mine. It's probably not the healthiest thing to admit, but it's true.
No, it's good to admit. It's good. And I'm glad somebody else said it. I got to be better about that. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, man. What are you like? Get to the fucking point.
But I do have I do have to admit, maybe why it's a pet peeve. I can wax poetic because I always tell people I Steinbeck it a little too much. I like to paint the whole picture so that you completely understand.
But I like that. See, that's painting a picture so I can be within the story, so I understand the framework of your point. I'm talking you, the story is done, and I have no clue why the fuck.
Oh, shit. Okay, if they were to make a movie about your life, who would you want to play you?
Oh, wow. I mean, you want to hear ego?
Yeah.
I'll go, if you want me a little bit more with my humor, I'll go Ben Stiller. But if I want to look really, really cool, I'll go Tom Cruise.
All right. I dig it. All right. Last one. You're on a deserted island. Whatever reason, you can have one movie and one music album with you. What are they?
Oh, man, that's good. One movie, A Few Good Men.
Oh.
I know it's not Marvel. I know it's not a superhero, but the dialogue, the intensity, Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Kevin, whatever his name, Bacon. Demi Moore, humor, intensity, acting, Rob Reiner film. I just love that movie, man. I just love that movie. I mean, I can't believe I'm not saying a superhero movie, but that I could watch over and over and over again. One album, huh?
Yeah. We can go one artist.
One artist. Well, okay. In my heart, it's going to be Bruce Springsteen.
Nice.
Right? In my head, I want to say Dion because I love him so
much. Because you got that connection.
I love him so much. But from a kid from Jersey, it's going to be Bruce.
Yeah. What was the first Bruce song? My mom was a huge Bruce fan, so it was that, the Beatles, Queen, things like that in the house.
So it's interesting. My cousin, who's more like an aunt to me, believe it or not, just because of age-wise, and she was such a big structure in my life. She gave me the Born to Run album, like the actual album, when I was like 6, and she was like, "I'm going to make you cool." And I loved it, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't get it yet. You know what I mean? And I'm a kid from the 80s, so that was still actually just a little before the 80s. And then right after that, so I'm listening to Born to Run, and then right after that, just to give you like a little time period of how everything hit, it was like Born in the USA, Michael Jackson's Thriller, John Cougar Mellencamp, Pink House, right? So Bruce just became he became like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He turned from this guy that was like known from New Jersey to like the boss.
Yep.
So that's my age. You know what I mean? That's where I was. I was a kid from Jersey in the early 80s, hearing Born to Run at 6, but then at 8, 9, Born in the USA comes out, and this guy is just brought to a whole other level.
No, I remember it well. I remember that period well. Adam, anyone, if you could leave us some words of wisdom, there's so many people, and I know you went through it. I went through it. We lost a lot of people, especially addicts during the pandemic, but we're getting this great focus. Finally, mental health is becoming more of a conversation. If there's any wisdom you could drop for some people listening, what might you share?
It would be like a combination here. So I would say one is when you have the courage to share what's really going on to somebody, you cut it in half. You don't know that until you actually do that. So when you share what's really troubling you, and you share it with somebody that you can trust, you just cut it in half. Now, rather than have 2 arms raising a canoe over your head, you have 4, and you have love and support. And granted, I'm a Christopher Reeve guy. I'm an old school Superman guy. But what I love in The Man of Steel was, he says that the S, it stood for hope, So there's hope. There's hope. I'm not saying it'll get done tomorrow. I'm not saying everything's going to be fine in a week, but there's hope. So if something's troubling you, share it. It cuts it in half. and know there's hope. And if you put those together, that's your highway to get well.
Chills, my friend. Adam, thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you for inviting me. It meant a lot.
This podcast contains the views and opinions of the Knockin Doorz Down hosts and their guests to the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for informational purposes only. And because each person is sharing their unique perspective, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast and website are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Privacy is of the utmost importance to us. For those wishing anonymity, people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect confidentiality at the request of certain guests. This website or podcast should not be used in any legal capacity whatsoever, including but not limited to establishing standard of care in a legal sense or as a basis for expert witness testimony. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on the podcast or website. In no way does listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient relationship. If you find any errors in any of the content of this podcast or blogs, please send a message through the contact page. This podcast is owned by KDD Media Company.